Today, we are diving into one of nature's most, well, ingenious and surprisingly violent strategies. We're talking about plants that have basically evolved to become their own cannons, firing their offspring out into the world with some serious explosive force. Okay, so first, I just want you to look at this number, 240 kilometers per hour. That's over 150 miles an hour. We're talking faster than a cheetah, faster than a major league fastball, right up there with a high-speed train. So what in the world could possibly be moving this fast?
You guessed it. That incredible speed doesn't come from some high-tech machine. It comes from a seed. It's launched from a plant with the perfect nickname, the dynamite tree. And believe me, it is not alone. Turns out the plant kingdom is absolutely full of explosive little surprises. So how in the world do they do it? In this first part, we're going to get into the incredible mechanics of what scientists call ballistic seed dispersal. And yeah, you're about to meet some of the most, let's call them ballistic botanicals on the planet.
I mean, this lineup is just amazing. You've got the dynamite tree, which can launch these shrapnel-like seeds that can actually cause serious injury. Then there's witch hazel, which experts literally call a botanical howitzer. The squirting cucumber, well, it does exactly what it says on the tin, shooting out this pressurized jet of seeds. And we can't forget the touch-me-not, whose pods will burst open with just the slightest provocation. It's a whole world of natural artillery out there.
So this kind of breaks down the basic idea behind a lot of these explosions. Let's use the witch hazel as our example. As you see here, its woody fruit capsule starts to dry out, and as it dries, it deforms. This process builds up a huge amount of elastic energy, kind of like when you compress a spring. Then, the walls of that capsule start to squeeze the seed, just like when you'd squeeze a watermelon seed between your fingers to shoot it, until, pop, the seed is just shot out of there in less than half a millisecond.
And this isn't some new discovery. People have been getting startled by these things for thousands of years. The Roman author Pliny the Elder wrote about the squirting cucumber almost 2,000 years ago, warning people that its seeds could spurt out and, quote, endanger the eyes. A pretty timeless piece of advice, I'd say. Which, brings us from the how to the much bigger and maybe more important question, why? Why evolve these super elaborate, high-speed, and frankly kind of dangerous mechanisms, all just to move a tiny seed? What is the point of all this drama?
Well, the answer really gets down to a fundamental challenge for every single plant on Earth, giving its own kids the best possible shot at survival. And a lot of the time, that means getting them as far away from home as you possibly can. And this gets us to the core concept here, seed dispersal. It's really just the process of moving seeds away from the parent plant. It's a total make or break moment in a plant's life cycle, and they've evolved this incredible array of solutions to get the job done right. I mean, think about it. If a seed just drops straight to the ground, it's immediately competing with its own parent for sunlight, for water, for nutrients. It's also sitting in what's basically a hotspot for all the predators and diseases that are already targeting its parent. So dispersal is the great escape. It's all about finding new, fresh territory, making sure the species can spread out, and ultimately survive. Now, explosions are super dramatic, right? But they're not the only tool in the toolbox. Plants use plumes and wings to catch a ride on the wind, or they have buoyant shells so they can travel on water. But one of the most effective strategies of all is to recruit some help, specifically getting animals to do all the heavy lifting for them. And this brings us to a really key ecological idea. What actually makes for a good seed disperser? Because it's not as simple as just moving the most seeds. It's actually this delicate balance between quantity and quality. This chart just illustrates the idea perfectly. What you're seeing is the seed dispersal for just one species of tree. So on the left, you've got these small birds. They move a ton of seeds, right? But they don't take them very far. Then in the middle, you have thrushes, which move a decent number of seeds a little bit farther. But now look all the way to the right, at the carnivorous mammals. They move very few seeds, but they carry them for incredibly long distances. The thing is, every single one of these animals is playing a different but totally vital role. So this is how researchers break down disperser effectiveness. You've got the quantitative part, that's just the sheer number of seeds that get moved. The small birds are the champions of that. But then there's the qualitative part, which is all about the quality of the trip. Did the seed end up in a good spot where it can actually sprout and grow? Those mammals carrying seeds a really long way might be delivering them to a perfect 5-star new habitat. You need both, quantity and quality. So when you put all of these interactions together, all the different plants and all the animals that move their seeds, you don't just have a simple list. What you get is a complex, deeply interconnected network, a true web of life. And as we're about to find out, that web can be incredibly fragile. Because these ancient partnerships, these relationships that have been built over millennia, are now facing a whole bunch of modern threats. And when these connections start to break down, the consequences can just cascade through an entire ecosystem. A lot of this comes down to us. Human activities are really disrupting this delicate dance. Overhunting can remove key animals from the system entirely. Chopping up habitats with roads and cities creates barriers they just can't cross. And as we're about to see, introducing invasive species can totally hijack the entire network. Okay, let's just walk through this one example from a study in South Africa. Step 1. An invasive plant with some really tasty-looking fruit gets introduced. The local birds love it, so they start eating the fruit and spreading its seeds everywhere. Soon, that invasive plant starts growing so aggressively that it chokes out the native trees. But here's the really insidious twist. Those native trees were the crucial perching spots and food sources for the birds. So by spreading the invader, the birds accidentally destroy their own habitat, causing the whole dispersal network to just collapse. So why does any of this matter? Well, it's not just about losing one plant or one animal. It's about understanding that the health of an entire ecosystem really depends on the health of these intricate and often invisible relationships. And this brings us to a really powerful shift in how we think about conservation. This quote says it all, really. We can't just focus on protecting individual species by themselves in a vacuum. If we really want to preserve biodiversity, we have to protect the interactions that happen between them. This is the big idea we've been building towards, the seed dispersal network. It's that entire complex web of connections. And protecting this network, not just the individual players, but the links between them, that's what makes sure a forest can regenerate, a landscape can recover, and an ecosystem can stay resilient and healthy. So we started this whole journey with a seed moving at the speed of a freight train, this spectacular explosive act. But the real power isn't just in the explosion, it's in what that explosion represents. Just one of countless connections, so many of them totally invisible to us, that link all these species together. These are the connections that are holding our entire world in a delicate, complex, and honestly beautiful balance.